Hello.
How are you?
Good.
Good. Hello, everybody. How are you?
Thanks.
Good. Wonderful. Good. You guys end at 1, right? For KW Utah. There's regions all over the country. We're nice state boundaries, which makes it easy. Tim, when he's in California, there's all sorts of crazy boundaries down there in the California regions, but I've been the regional director for 5 years, pretty much took it over, and then COVID happened, which was exciting. I got into business in 2007. I sold real estate for 4 or 5 years. I partnered up with a guy named Clay Winder. We started a team called the Red Sign Team, kind of covered the majority of Wasatch Front. But I was a team leader. I was a team leader for the majority of my career. I was a team leader for 10 years, pretty much 2010 to 2020. And one of the things that I found myself doing as team leader is there was just a bunch of different groups that I start taking a little bit more invested stewardship in helping them set goals beyond business. We have business planning clinic. We have a lot of cool things that help you dial in your economic models and your dreams and your goals around your real estate business. But I found pretty quickly that so many other areas of life, no doubt, intertwine on how you show up in your business. If you have crappy health, you don't want to go to work, right? If you're suffering from bad relationships, you don't want to go to work. Like there's so many different ways that different area of lives connect. And I started navigating people through different processes of goal setting. And I tweaked it over the last, pretty much decade and kind of came up with what we're going to go through now. I think one of the disservices that we do in society is I actually just hosted a bachelor party at my house on Friday, for one of my favorite guys, Hunter Chinnicky. It was a Mormon bachelor party, so I figured you guys would
So cute.
He is so cute. So happy for him. But it like just talking to him and deep into the wedding planning phase, it jogged my mind on how intensive plans we make for one day of our life. You know, they've been planning for months and months and months, and it's so weird as soon as they get past that day when I think about just normal life, so much of our life, we're kind of just coasting into life, and that's one of the things that I wanted to make a purpose for me back in the day. And then I started navigating people through is I wanted to help be the placeholder on their calendar that navigates them through a process of setting goals in other areas of life. So I started creating a full day event, usually November-ish, just so you can kind of be in momentum of your goals in December. So by January, the results are starting to show up so you can hit your goals. But I do an all-day event. So we go through about an hour of each area of life. We go through content. We kind of put you in the emotional place around that area of life. And then we just start setting goals. I just kind of help people create their bucket list in these different areas of life. And then I kind of help them prioritize through this process that I go through of picking what is their one thing in that area of life. And then what are the habits, the lifestyle that you've got to live that are going to ensure that you're on track to hit those goals. So this is actually my mid-year retreat. So this is more of the hour-long accelerated mid-year time to kind of tweak and reset those goals. But there's always people when I do these mid-year retreats that didn't go through that full retreat. But I would be happy to come back and host it, or even let one of your leadership team have the curriculum to do that come November. And if anything, one of the things I always say is, when I go through this retreat process, if it's awesome for you, if it's terrible for you, it's your own fault, because it really is about you and what you want in your life. I just found myself wanting to be the person that forced you to take time out of your busy life to actually go out and set these goals. Okay, so we're going to navigate through all 7 areas of life. Some of you might have goals in these areas. Some of you might not. So just catch up if you can. Just write something down and kind of just even date that goal. But really, we're going to do an editing process of how you feel about your first half a year in these different areas of life. Okay, so let me introduce the areas of life here. I studied for several years. I'm in a Tony Robbins program. I love Zig Ziglar and Jim Rohn and just all the gurus. And everybody kind of divides up life a little bit differently. And over years and years of tweaking how these areas of life separate, this is kind of how I've came up with, and this has kind of been set in stone for me the last 5 years. Caution, it's going to make you set boxes in your brain around these areas of life now. So if you don't set some goals in these, you will in the future. So the first one we're going to go through is health. Everything to do with health. That's your body. If you don't have somewhere to live, what are you going to do, right? So a lot of health is the starting point. Have you ever been sick or had an illness? when you go through those times in your life, nothing else matters. And that's why taking care of our body is very awesome. Even a lot of mentors that I've had out there, they might crush it in a few areas of life, and then others they just totally neglect, and that's one of the things I've always loved about Keller Williams specifically, is we've got a pretty great group of well-rounded in most areas of life people. A lot of other mentors you think about, like even Warren Buffett, one of the smartest people on the planet when it comes to investing. He's not a poster child of health. He eats McDonald's every morning. He loves his Coke and hamburgers for lunch every day. Like he's just kind of a creature of habit. Even one of our local, former celebrities, Larry Miller, who was a conglomerate machine when it comes to business. If you ever read his book, he had the worst health habits, on the planet. And that was one of his dying wishes. He wishes he would have taken care of his health a little bit better, right? So we're going to go through health. We're going to go through soul. I've changed the name of that a few different times, but that's kind of all internal. And one of the things I want to clarify is you don't mix these up. Soul is all about you. It's your purpose. It's your spiritual life. It's your mission. It is like all internal of you kind of knowing what you want to go do in life and the impact of the dent that you want to make on the planet. Impact, we'll get to that, but that is more you actually going out and making the impact in life. Service, spending time with others, coaching, teaching, mentor, whatever. This, just don't confuse that with the impact. This is all about you. And relationships, we're going to go through relationships. That is just all the people you surround yourself with, from loved ones to work associates to coaches to mentors to friends, all that. And then this is a fun category. So as you get older, you somehow lose some fun and hobbies that you loved when you were younger. And I think actually setting goals in the fun category of life just brings a little bit more sweetness to life. And then you got career. Career, business are kind of interchangeable in that. But one of the things you can see, I separated wealth and career. So money is money, career is career. If you work for money, you're going to find yourself, not loving what you do for a living. And that's one of the good things that Gary taught me, is kind of separating those areas of life. But go out and do and spend the most amount of your time in your career doing and living in your unique abilities and unique talents, and just actually go out and enjoy your career. And if you do that, money will become a natural byproduct, right? Investing, debt, all sorts of things can be in the money category. And then we talk about impact. Okay. So impact is just, if money were not an issue whatsoever, and you spend all day, every day fulfilling your life's mission, how is that going to show up? What's the impact that you're going to go make in life? Okay. So I had Bradley print out 3 documents that are going to guide us through this process. And what we're going to do is really what you're trying to determine is what are all the things that you want to go do in that area of life. Physical is an easy one. I want to do 1,000 push-ups a day. I want to run a marathon. I want a certain weight. I want a certain body fat or whatever. Like you'll be able to name a bunch of those. Some areas of life you won't. We might not have time to do all of that, but really what you're trying to do is just identify what is the big things out there in life that you want to either go do or what you want to go, who do you want to become in that area of life. And then again, habits turn into what you do, turn into who you become, okay? So has anybody seen, does anybody use the Keller Williams tools, the goal setting tools, the 411, the GPS? Are anybody familiar with those? Who had a filled out GPS for your real estate business rolling into 2025? Yeah, okay. Who had written goals outside of your business or even wealth? Who had written goals in any of those other areas of life that we talked about? What categories did you have? Health,
relationships.
Wealth, relationships. Did anybody have a soul goal?
Yeah.
I have a soul goal.
Yeah. Is it to find a soul?
No. I hope that I have one.
Good,
Right.
good. Sweet. So you'll be able to kind of edit yours. What about fun? Anybody have fun goals?
Yes.
Yeah.
More fun, more money, Jonny.
Yeah, right. And this is called, Keller Williams put this out, I don't know, like 8 years ago. This is actually, there's a document that I can send you if you want to see it, but it's called the Kick-Ass Guide to Goal Setting. Have you ever seen it? It's the tools that Keller Williams walks you through, which is somewhat similar to what we do, but you're really just going through your long-term 5-year goals. And then what you're trying to do is narrow that down to your 1-year goal, your GPS, goal, priority, strategies. You got one goal, 3 priorities, which are pretty much the things you got to do that are going to accomplish that goal. And then the 5 strategies. We used to call it 135, but now it's called GPS. 411 is more of your monthly tool. So this is your year tool, long-term tool, and then this is your monthly tool. I provided the two versions of this for you, so I'm gonna show you kind of what the one sheeter or the GPS looks like is your 1 year goal sheet. And then 4-in-1 is kind of, and I'll send he's got the PDFs. I actually filled this out every single month, a 4-in-1. So what was my year goal in that area of life? What is my monthly big rock in that? And then I can kind of do some rocks for each area of life every single week. And then really, if you're clear on what your month and week goals are, the next tool simply for me is just your calendar and then your task list of where that shows up. So here's a good example of some of my documents that I use. Here's like Red Sign Team. This is a little older, but I always look out 1 year. I look out 3 year. I look out 5 year goals for a lot of my businesses and organizations. Here's some of the health goals. I want to run a full marathon. I deleted that recently. But what it's trying to funnel over to is my one sheeter. Okay, so let me show you. Everybody hold up your one sheeter. It looks like this. It's got the gray boxes. Okay, I want you to be able to fill it out properly. Number one, you can see health, right? So my goal is this year is I want to be in the best shape of my life, and I want 10% body fat. I'm at 12.8% today, so I got a little bit more room to go. He's been motivating me by jumping on the bike. Here is all the habits. So the little arrow will point to what are the most important things on a daily basis that you should be doing that are going to lead to the success of that. And I bounce all around different health goals and activities. I've kind of figured out if I just work out daily, burn 500 calories, I started going down the road of macros a long time ago and tracking macros. I realized even just getting above 180 grams of protein and sub 2,430 calories, that actually starts moving me towards my goal. Like even carbs, you know, fats, like tracking those, sure, but like those are the two things that meant for me. And then also sleep. You look at even Brian Johnson and some of these longevity experts, they said if there's one thing you should nail, it's sleep. And I start tracking with my sleep ring, my sleep score every night. So whatever the area of life is, that is your one big thing that you want to do this year. So if you already have a goal, you're welcome to put that down and what the habits are. In the red, I actually put a little box up there because that is who should be holding you accountable to whatever that goal is. I had a goal at one point to have a paid coach in every single area of life. You know, it started out just mentors, maybe some in my peer group that would kind of hold me accountable or be interested in holding me accountable. I started moving more in the direction of coaches. So I have a health coach that I meet with every single week, and I show her all my health data, my sleep data, my workout data. I realized just showing my stuff to someone somehow increased the chance that I'm going to do what I'm supposed to do like tenfold, which is crazy. Still looking for a soul coach, Rusty. If
You need to be your soul coach. I totally can.
Relationships, yada yada. Okay. So really, at the end of this, I just want you to have one sheeter completed for all those areas of life, what the habits are, and then even just write down someone that could mentor or hold you accountable. This is the one document I have printed off and just stuck above my computer that I look at every single day. I even have it laminated and it's in my shower, right on my shower door. I want to look at it every single day. And again, then it boils down to so I just repeat what my goal is on the 4-in-1. I go through and actually say, all right, what is my month goal? Maybe it's a health event that I want to do. Maybe it's some other event that I want to do. And then here, every single week, I'll just write in one big rock or something that I need to accomplish on that. And then really, that just simply should show up on my calendar or my task list. And again, I could tell you what your goals are most likely if you simply showed me what 1 week of your calendar looks like. So if you're not time blocking and actually putting these things on your calendar, which I got really good on the business side of things, I time block my lead gen time. I'd even pre-block appointments that when my lead gen was rolling, it would just be to set those appointments. But if you have other goals in other areas of life and you're not doing the same process of putting that on your calendar, like it's 80% less likely that you're going to do it, right? Here is calendar tips. I color code my calendar. Color code, I love the green, the blue, the yellow. So green is my 20% or the important things that I got to do in every one of those activities. Okay, so it could be the gym in the morning, it could be lead generation, it could be whatever the habits are that I spell out. Blue are things that only I can do. So that's not anything I can delegate. And then yellow, I color code yellow. Those are all the things that one day I want to get off my plate. I either want to leverage it out, I want to stop doing it, I want to pay someone to do it, or whatever. When I look at my calendar and I got a whole bunch of yellow, I'm like, I got to do some work on leverage. When it's looking green, I could tell I'm a lot more on pace for that. One of the other tips that I do real quick, a lot of you might be good at pre-booking your calendar. At the end of every day, I go back and I edit what I actually did, because a lot of times my days will get derailed and I just got to get real. I just got to be honest with myself. I go back in and edit it so I actually know what I did that day. This is my next half of that is I have this Bee. It's called the Bee. It's an AI listening device. It listens to everything all day and it creates a summary for me on my app every single day, which is cool. So if the FBI comes, where were you on June 7th?
Here's my list.
It was grocery this year. Just for every lunch.
Just for what?
Reminders organization, you guys probably organize different lists, different ways. Backburner are always just my, indefinite projects that I'm always working on. General task list is kind of more the things that I want to get done in a week, maybe in a month. But every morning or evening before the day, I have a success task list that I'll only move like two or three things over that I have to get done in the morning. If I just get those things done in the morning, my day is drastically better. So here's how I usually do my retreat schedule. And if there's one thing, if you ignored everything else, it would be follow some sort of schedule like that. Every year I take one full day out of my calendar. I've gone to a cabin, I've gone to the woods, I've gone to just my basement, I've gone to an office and locked the door. Somewhere where I'm just uninterrupted, my phone's not in the room, and I go through this process of setting all these goals in each area of life. So by the time January 1st rolls around, I am so in momentum of every one of these goals. Every single month, I'll usually take, I'm probably down to more like an hour and a half now, but anywhere from 1.5 to 3 hours before the next month starts, I go through this process that I'm going to take you through of just self-evaluation and then creating your next month's 411. There is half my months, the last decade that I had this filled out and I rolled into the month with total clarity of what I want to accomplish. And then there's other months that somehow just life caught me up and I just rolled into the month without any editing process and kind of floated into it. I end up accomplishing double by just taking an hour or 2 hours just by bringing clarity to my goals. And then weekly, usually Monday morning, Sunday night or something, I'll just look at my calendar, I'll edit it, I'll just kind of do more of a weekly planning session. Okay. Does anybody do some of those time blocks in your life? Okay. All right, so we're going to jump in. Again, the goal is just to simply have that filled out. This is the monthly assessment that we're going to do. Even though it says monthly, I do this every month. You're welcome to use this as a template for you every month. Before, I always like to do past, present, future. So past, I want to reflect how I did the last month, the last 6-month period, the last year. I want to just do a quick self-evaluation right now on a scale of 1 to 10. How do I feel about my health? And then I jump into the monthly goal setting process just to go out ahead. So each one, we're going to kind of start with just a quick little monthly assessment. So health, let's jump into it. Does anybody need a pen or one of these documents? Raise your hand if you do. Bradley will get it to you. Okay. So health, right now on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rank your overall happiness in your health area of life? 1 to 10. 10, you are just nailing it. You are so pumped. 1 being whatever, the opposite of that is. Okay. And then 1 to 10, how would you rank the first half of this year, January to June? How would you rank the first half of your results in your health area of life? Whatever your goal was, how do you rank it? 1 to 10, are you on pace for whatever your health goal was? And then daily activities, whatever the habits are, they're going to accomplish your health goal. 1 to 10, rank yourself. How awesome are you at your daily activities? 10 being you're nailing it every day. Now add all those up, divide by 4, and give you an average just over to the left or right of the health, and give you an average of your health area of life. Okay, good. All right, so let's start and just jump in. I just got a couple slides on each area of life just to kind of chat about that area of life. But health is crazy. I always view health in these categories: sleep, nutrition, exercise. Even just the older I get, flexibility, mobility is important. Cracking my bones back into their right place every day. Even energy, like just having a goal around like more energy, has been my goal some years. Even just stress management, maybe a meditation habit or something like that. So if you don't have a health goal, those are some of the areas that you might want to consider on that. So this is one thing that Gary did with us in the Top Agent Mastermind a couple years ago. He went through a similar approach. This is how he divides up the areas of life: spiritual, job, physical, business, relationships, money. But he spent more time talking about quantitative and qualitative. So a lot of times when I get to the soul area of life, people are like, how do I even set a goal on this? You know, I just want to be a more grateful person. Okay, well, that's more of a good emotional goal, but how are you going to measure that? How are you going to actually get into the quantitative part of it? And that's why each one of these, you got to not only like, what is the meaning behind the goal, but how are you going to actually go out and measure it? And I'll share a bunch of examples on this. So this is what his health area of life looks like. These are a lot of his goals that he's got. Feel great. Like he just wants to feel great. Like he always wants to feel great. And he did a lot of research and he realized that probably the healthiest diet on the planet is the Mediterranean diet. These are his goals that he tries to hit: 2,000 calories, 120 grams of protein, 20 grams of sugar. He had some major health problems, if you didn't know that, back in his 20s, that forced him almost to get into food is only for fuel. So he kind of navigated that process early in his life. But then he's like, all right, I got to go get energy, which is weird. You think putting your energy into workout somehow creates more energy than had you not worked out. But he works out 5 days a week. He loves doing high intensity interval cardio. He does 10 minutes of abs, and then he'll usually 20 minutes of strength training, chest, by, try, back. And then even on track. So he does a lot of, blood and urine things just to keep not only his weight, his BMI, but his cholesterol. He really dials in his cholesterol. Get relaxed. He likes to make sure he's got a clear mind when he rolls in the day. He meditates for 10 minutes a day. His habit actually in meditation is he has a massage chair in his closet. So he's probably got a pretty big closet. Massage chair in there. But he just gets into that. And then he has a visualization process. He owns a ranch, a fishing ranch out in West Virginia, that he gets in there and he basically visualizes himself walking out of the door of his cabin, walking down with his fishing pole to the pond that he loves to go fish. Like he's not a super meditation guy, but that's what he's found works for him. Sleep 8 hours, get rest for sure. I'm not a freak like Marcus that can sleep 4 hours a night. I'm an 8-hour guy. Like I have to make sure that I'm getting 8 hours. If I don't, you can tell usually. And then get time. He wants to live 100 years. Okay. So these are all his qualitative. And then he figured out how to measure in quantitative. Okay. So think on both sides of that when you're setting some goals. Here's how I did my health. This is when one of the times I went from Fat Johnny to Fit Johnny. I started at 230. Had to get below 200. This is back in 23, but I had to just start tracking stuff. So if you want to move a needle in your life, you have to start tracking it. And I track I use my MyFitnessPal for all my macros and my calories. I track my sleep with my sleep ring. I know there's other devices out there. I start tracking steps, my calories burnt, and then my weight, and then I would weigh myself every single day and determine my body fat. And it's funny because I somewhere in, I think it was maybe somewhere around here, I'm like, look how good and in momentum I am. They always say 66 days of doing something built a habit. I'd done it for almost 18 months. And I'm like, I got this. So I didn't want to pay for my health coach anymore. I let my health coach go. And I'm like, I'll still keep doing all this. I'll keep tracking. Not only did I go 60 days and stop tracking, it was within 24 hours, I stopped tracking everything. And within like a month, I already shot back up like 15 pounds. And I'm like, even just me showing my numbers, I realized to someone else is what actually sticks me on consistency of that. So you just got to figure out and play, test different things of what's going to help keep you momentum. Okay. So, all right. So now just health, right? What your health goal is, either for the year or the remainder of the year, 2025. What is your big rock in the health area of life? What do you want to accomplish? Could be weight, could be body fat, could be just energy, better sleep, whatever. But think about the quantitative, like how are you going to measure it? And then off to the right of that health, where that arrow is pointing, put 1, 2, 3 of the habits that you're going to have to do on a daily, weekly, most likely daily basis. They're going to help you accomplish that. And then some of you that might already have a goal, I might just ask 1 or 2 to share your goal. We found tremendous success when you throw it out. Somehow the world helps revolve around you to accomplish that.
I have a goal I'm willing to share. My health goal for this year is to set the Lotus Jacques course record.
What's that?
It's Logan and Jackson.
Ooh,
Wow.
How long is it?
Course record is 8 hours and 11 minutes.
Cool. Who thinks he can do it?
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome.
Do it. We had a guy once that raised his hand like that, and he was a little timid to raise his hand because he didn't want to throw it out there, but he's like, I want to climb the 100 tallest peaks in the state of Utah. And we're like, okay, and pretty much as the year went on, people kept asking him, how you doing, how you doing, how you doing? And he probably would have done 10 to 20 peaks had he not thrown that out. And because the whole office rallied behind him, it was December 30th at like 10 p.m. He finally hit his 100th peak, which is awesome.
That's awesome.
Cool. So kudos to you. So what are your habits associated with accomplishing that?
I ride 150 miles per week. Eating whole foods was something that I started focusing on because with nutrition, I was just eating really crappy food. And as soon as I just started focusing on like my main meals of the day, like I want to eat good food, just for 3 main meals, like I saw a huge improvement in fitness. And then recovery. Recovery is extremely important. And previous in the year, I was working really long hours in the heat, sun, whatever. So recovery was super important for me to make sure I get my sleep, meditation, whatever it is. I've got multiple recovery devices.
Cool.
So those are my habits:
Sweet.
nutrition, recovery.
Who holds you accountable to that?
I have one friend, Noah, who I'm going to do the race with. He raced it last year, so we kind of check in with each other. But in terms of like an actual accountability coach, the only thing that I have is like a Training Peaks plan, where it'll be like, here's, you know, your goal for the week and here's where you're at for the week. But it's not necessarily a person being like, hey, Caleb, how are you doing? Oh, so, but I was thinking, you know, you're bringing up all these things. Noah and I are doing a race together. We could just maybe the two of us can partner together.
I'm even really close for a couple of areas of life. Having Bailey is the name of my chat GPT. It's the name of my old assistant that I love to death. So my chat GPT is actually starting to hold me accountable. Like I've programmed it to start asking me on a daily basis. So even AI is great. So thank you for sharing. Okay. All right, let's jump into soul. Soul. Go to your assessment on a scale from 1 to 10 right now with your soul. And gingers do have souls, Rusty. You keep saying you know. 1 to 10, how happy are you in just your soul, your spiritual area of life? Okay. And if you had a goal, 1 to 10, how's the first half of the year? How's your results for the first half of the year in your soul area of life? 1 to 10, are you on pace for your year goal if you had one? And then even daily activities, 1 to 10, daily activities. Okay, and add them up, divide them by 4, and then give you an average one in that. The reason I have you do that is, does anybody know someone that is just perfect in every area of life? Tim, maybe, no. It's funny, it's actually.
I said false.
It's funny, it's actually, it was Bradley's dad, Matt, taught me something like 10 years ago about the theory of chaos. That like, there is always just gonna be some sort of form of chaos showing up somewhere in your life. And a lot of times I'll tell you, every year there's 3 or 4 of these that'll probably nail, and then there's 3 of them that chaos will show up. And it's been crazy over the last 10, 15 years of doing this. Like it kind of rotates areas of life every once in a while. But even this just helps me identify a little bit of like which areas of life I might need to give some more attention to. And if you've ever watched some of Gary's stuff, he's a big believer of the law of sequential mastery. Like pick one thing, go out and master it, and then go pick the other. Like when you try to do too many things in one area of life, you just get spread thin, and then the accomplishment of all those things is way less than had you just done it one at a time, right? And so part of that is just pick what your biggest rock is. And I've had to devote more time. And it's a lot, I'll tell you, it's a lot easier to be in shape and stay in shape than it is to go from fat to fit, right? The energy, the emotions, the work, the effort you have to put in to actually get in shape takes a lot more energy. So there might even be years that you get an area of life more into momentum, even wealth. I'll tell you, the journey for me from 0 to even $500,000 was drastically harder than going from 500 to several $1 million, right? And it's part of this just because you get momentum in these. And so you got to start prioritizing a little bit of how those show up. So has anybody read this book, The Top 5 Regrets of the Dying, Bronnie Ware? You've probably seen this a little bit, but Bronnie Ware was basically a hospice nurse for people on their deathbed that only had 2, 3, 4 months to live. And she found herself being fascinated by asking these patients what are the biggest regrets of their life? Like, when you talk to someone on their deathbed, they can be brutally honest and really do a great, honest self-reflection of their life. And these were the most common, regrets of all the dying. And I've probably read that book 10 times. I've probably shown this thing 100 times. And every time I look at it, I'm like, I better tune that up. I better fix that. The number one regret of the dying, I wish I'd had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me. Number two, I wish I hadn't worked so hard, or at least worked smarter even. Number three, I wish I'd had the courage to express my feelings. I wish I had stayed in touch with my friends, number four. And then number five, I wish I had let myself be happier. So as you're contemplating a soul goal, if you don't have one yet, maybe think about some of those regrets out there. So another mastermind that Gary put us through, we flew down, it was right somewhere in the middle of COVID, maybe end of 2020 or 2021, when it was just utter chaos and we were all just like burnt out because the speed of the market was going crazy. It was a time that we really needed Gary's advice on the direction that we should be moving. And so the top, 100, 200 rainmakers from all these teams and solo agents flew down to Texas, and we just thought Gary was going to sit up there and just give us all this very strategic advice on how to capitalize on the market and just crush it, right? We spent the entire day talking about our soul and our mission and our purpose. And the first probably hour, I'm like, what is this old man doing? I'm like, give us some good stuff. And then I realized what he was doing over time. Like, if you're not clear on what you want in life, like you'll perform 10% of what you would if you have total clarity. Some of the people on the planet that was just so connected to their passion and then married their career to it, accomplish mind-boggling things. You think about like a Steve Jobs in the business world. You think about even a Larry Miller. You think about even Elon Musk. I know you got to be careful saying Elon's name now. So we're going to just go through a couple slides that he went through just on help clarifying your mission and purpose. And if you don't have a mission statement, you should write a mission statement. And even if you are OCD on it, the top lines, if you look at the very top lines of your one-sheeter above those 7 areas of life goals, I have 3 lines up there that's where I restate my mission every time I fill this out. Okay. So here's just a handful of things. We'll get out of the way, Rusty. To have your best life possible, 3 things you should be certain about: who you are, what you want, and what you're willing to do. When you really know who you are, you'll know what you want. And when you know what you really want, you'll know what you need to do to go get it. Time will either prove you right or not. A lot of people waste time by being uncertain. The longer you are uncertain, the longer it will take you to become the best person you can become and live the best life you can possibly live. I think we try to paint ourselves as victim by not always knowing what we need to do. And that's where I always encourage you, just pick a direction and just start moving forward. You're never going to be so wrong that you're moving the exact opposite direction, but at least get you marching forward to then move and tweak and then end up, fortifying what your actual best life or mission might be. Be certain about who you are and what you want. Then take actions built on plans that have the best probabilities to help you become the person you want to become, who has what you want to have. So here is some docs. I can send these to you. If we had more time, I would actually make you write out your mission, vision, values, beliefs, perspective. Okay. So mission statement. Does anybody know what Keller Williams is? Rusty, go.
Looks like I know all of them, but
It's right there. To build careers worth having, business worth owning, life worth living, experience worth giving, legacy worth
yeah, I
living.
was like, that's one for me.
You got a vision statement, values, beliefs, perspective. So if you don't know what those are for you, for your family, or even your organization, even if you're a solo agent, you should actually go through the process of doing that. Another document they'll send you is just how do you actually become aware of your authentic self? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What should I do more of? What should I do less of? My superpowers are. Like, that kind of helped me clarify what my unique talents were and my MVP. One of the other activities I challenge you to do with this dog, go talk to the 3 or 4 or 5 people that know you the best, that are the closest to you, and ask them those questions. And just zip your lips and actually see what comes out of their mouth on this.
I don't think I want to do that.
Even just your behavior, the more you understand your behavior, the way that you think, just kind of helps, you can't really go wrong learning more and more about yourself. The problem is we spend so much time outward versus the inward reflection that we should be doing on this. Limited thinking. What's your limited thinking? What is your unlimited thinking? I've told my story when I've come up and taught wealth. You know, I was programmed with very poor money psychology. I grew up in a very paycheck to paycheck family. I was destined to be poor and just go get a mediocre job. And I'll tell you, joining Keller Williams was the one thing that actually started changing the way I thought about money and turned it into unlimited thinking. It started out being like, oh, that'd be great to be that person or have that or whatever. Then I started, digging deeper and be like, well, why can't I have that? To the point that I got to like, I'm gonna go get that, turn whatever roadblocks or limit thinking into unlimited. And you might have to go through that journey differently for the different areas of life. What's your conscious bias, unconscious bias, yada, yada. Okay. All right, soul, write down a goal for the rest of the year or this year. What is your one thing in the soul area of life that you're going to commit to doing? Put that second line, and then like the last one to the left, I want you to write down habits that are attached to that.
Can you use some help?
Yeah, just share some examples.
So, like one could be very religious oriented for sure. There's always some of those. My most recent one in this area of life is I just wanted to become the best version of myself. That's what I had written down. And then I had to dig deeper. I'm like, well, what does that actually mean? And so I started making a list of the attributes that I want to possess that I feel like would represent who I really want to be, like honesty, or integrity, or like energy, or just love, or whatever. And I started going through a monthly process because my goal ended up being I wanted to rank at least to 8.5 on all these attributes that are basically a reflection of what the best version of myself was. And every month I wrote all these attributes down, and then I just simply rank myself 1 to 10. How honest do I feel this month? How loving do I feel this month? And I actually kind of created an average. And the first time I did it, it was pretty pessimistic. I was like a 6, I think, on average. So I wanted to become an 8.5 on average of all those. So that next month, I created a few goals. How do I actually improve that attribute? How do I create more energy? How to become more loving, or whatever. So that was one. Some people say, oh, I want to be just a happy, grateful person. Okay, well, what does that look like? Some of the habits might be just writing in a gratitude journal, so how do you quantitative gratefulness, it could just be a ranking system again. Could be you want to actually get closer and feel connected to your true purpose or mission in life. A lot of people, when I ask this, I'm like, who knows what they want to, what is their mission in life? Usually half the room has a decent idea, the other half, like, I don't know. I just, I haven't even written anything down. So maybe you just want a very soul attached mission statement, by the end of the year. And you've got to go do some work of how do you actually figure that out. I want to spend more of my time in my unique abilities or whatever. Tony Robbins, I joined this platinum program of Tony Robbins. And he does this kind of with a few areas of life, but it's very extreme. I went to Dubai and UAE in October for his happiness and fulfillment event, but it basically was a spiritual event. And we went anywhere from like meditation to, energy healing to different religions, to service-oriented people. Like we went through all these areas of life, and it just blew my brain on the different avenues of just digging a little bit deeper on your soul. But that usually is the one that's just sometimes a little tricky. Just put something down and then start tweaking it, as you go. Usually the first time someone puts it down, they kind of tend to ignore it. And then it's the second time when they go to edit the process of that soul area of life, they're like, all right, now I actually got a better group. But does anybody actually have a soul one that they want to share? What's your goal for 2025, the rest of the year in the soul area of life?
I'll share one. Kaylee, I was just thinking, because you were like, how do you measure this? So last year, and it's continuing this year, was I just wanted to connect with the higher power deeper. Like sometimes we in that relationship cannot feel as connected as I wanted to. And so part of the daily practice that I was doing is I found a woman's devotional Bible that like I love it because it's just telling stories and then it's connecting it into like I found one that was specifically like for busy women leaders. Like that was the exact one. And then part of that would also be like I would journal about how that showed up in my day at the end of the day. And it makes a big difference. Like journaling has been something that I did forever, like even all through junior high and high school. And then I kind of stopped doing it and like reconnecting because it's just it's just the story of you and your day and what it looked like, but kind of tying it back to gratitude and how that's one of the areas that.
Yeah, Jakey shared his with me a couple years ago. He wanted to become one with the wilderness. So every Thursday at 7 a.m. he runs through the wilderness naked.
He does.
Wasn't going
He
in and
does.
out. Some hippie thing he's going through. Oh, sorry.
That wilderness is actually just like his neighbor's yards, so it's getting really off. And it's just dark.
3 tickets later, he's still out of jail.
Still doing it.
All right, now we gotta roll up. We got like 25 more minutes-ish. So let's hit relationships. Okay, so your assessment, 1 to 10, how happy are you in the relationship area of life? Overall, all relationships, 1 to 10, how would you rank your relationship area of life? If you had a goal, it looks like half of you had a relationship goal, and you raise your hand on the scale of 1 to 10. How would you rank your first half results of accomplishing your relationship goal? 1 to 10, are you on pace for your year goal? And then daily activities, 1 to 10. How would you rank your daily activities? And I tend to separate, love and mentors. Love comes in a lot of forms for me, like whether it's spouse, significant other, kids, parents, siblings, relatives, friends. In the full retreat, one of the activities I do, I make people write down what is the top 10 relationships in your life. And people are so enthusiastic to do it. And I said, all right, now go rank your relationship out of 1 to 10 with that. And it's a very sobering moment. You actually have to rank your relationship with that one kid or that friend or spouse or whatever. Every time there's tears, and one of the activities after that is I make everybody go through and text those 10 people something they love about them or something they're grateful for. And we get a lot of responses back being like, are you dying or something, but a lot of times just actually setting goals around expressing love. So I had the same thing. I had a goal. I wanted to have a 9 relationship when I went and ranked those relationships with my top 50 people in my life. So when I say 1 to 10, I'm feeling like a 9 on average of my top 50. And I found myself with a lower rating on a bunch of those. So every month I would set a goal, 5 or 10 people that I want to spend a little bit more time. I'd either order them a gift, or I'd send them a gratitude text, or I'd try to meet them for lunch or spend more time with them or whatever. And then even mentors, you might have a lot of different areas of life, mentors, people that are invested into your growth in that area of life. Even love languages, learning those people's love languages. If you've seen even the 2 new ones, gifts, giving gifts, acts of service, quality time, words of affirmation, physical touch. You've probably seen those. The 2 that they're adding right now, shared experiences and then emotional security. So even having a goal to know what the love languages are of the top 10 or 50 or 100 people in your life, and maybe make a habit every month that you're going to actually try to go and equal they need to be. Okay. And we'll share these slides with everybody. Bradley can send them out, but let's try and get your relationship area of life goal. What is your 1 rock by 2025? What's the one thing? If you nailed this goal in your relationship area of life, you'd look back on 25 and consider it a great success. And then to the right of that, write down the habits. The habits. What are the 1, 2, 3 things? It could be daily, weekly habits that is going to reinforce and help you hit that one thing goal in the relationship area of life. Okay. Anybody want to share theirs? You got one? Yeah, find a girlfriend, right?
I think I want to be a safe place. I don't know if you guys have heard people that get the tattoo of the semicolon, where they're a safe place for somebody that may be struggling. I think if I could be a safe place for my kids, people in my close circle, there's no judgment. They can come with all their warts or all the challenges they face without being judged.
I feel like you're not.
I'm working towards it.
I feel like you are.
Yeah.
Well, I cry every time.
Bless your soul.
No, I really do.
Cool. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. And that one, I know there's a lot of relationships that you maintain in life. So sometimes that goal might even change throughout the year. Mine's all around a parenting goal and kind of teaching my kids, being a little bit more proactive on trying to be a good dad. All right, fun. Fun. 1 to 10, 1 to 10 overall happiness in the fun area of life. That was the last half of the year on your fun goal. How would you rank that? Are you on pace for whatever your fun goal is? Daily activities. And then add them up, divided by 4. Give yourself an average. So this comes out of Quantum Leap. If you've ever been to Quantum Leap, this is hands down my favorite class that Keller Williams has produced. This was a brainchild of Gary Keller. He has habits in some of the area of life disciplines, somewhat similar to kind of what we're doing, but a little different. But his time discipline, he's got 3 habits. If you've seen these: playtime, pay time, organization time. Playtime is booking your playtime first. If you don't book your playtime first, what tends to just overtake your calendar? Work time, right? Work expands at the time allowed, no doubt. And there's been years, months that I have my playtime fully booked on my calendar before I roll into the year, and there's other times that I don't. I'll tell you, the other times that I don't have my playtime booked, I end up reflecting back on that year and I did almost nothing, like vacation, playtime wise. And then the third one you can see, pay time habits, your 20% activities we already talked about, but then organization time habit. He's got a very strict schedule that he follows too, of just stepping back from his life and businesses and everything and actually getting organized, thinking and setting goals. And so I do that on a monthly basis. I'll just pull the calendar up. Every year I just buy one of those big old, dry erase calendars. And I just start drawing lines. I map out things. I put the KW events, the vacations I want to go on, blah, blah, blah. And then basically I know everything else that I got to do is just going to be work throughout those days, right? For those of you who are struggling with this, hobbies for old people. Okay.
Make your own.
Go birding. Marcus has picked up birding, bird watching.
Hey, it's harder than it sounds.
I thought it meant something else.
Something might not be that. Rusty's been doing jigsaw puzzles. Justin just tried modeling. It lasted what, a minute, 2 minutes? I can't remember.
Solid 1 month.
I think this is an important one, Johnny. I can't really, one of my pet peeves is how many of us as parents are so invested in having our kids have hobbies, like take piano lessons, go to dance. And then at what age do we all of a sudden decide it's not important to develop on a personal level and hobbies anymore? Like, I think it's really important for us to model for our kids self-development, have hobbies outside of our normal work to show life balance. You know, so, like, one of my greatest sources of joy right now is playing the guitar. 2 years ago, I didn't play the guitar. I got challenged by one of my kids to start playing. It's literally one of my favorite parts of the day is when I sit down with my guitar in my hand to get a play. And I'm horrible, but it's fun for me. So I think it's important to like just pick a hobby that you're like, I want to try it. And I'm not too old to start.
I can't remember even where we were traveling to. It was either a work event or something. And I remember you just had your guitar strapped on your back, walking through the airport because you were so committed to just nailing whatever your practice goal was. Yeah. Yeah, even golf. Like I golfed self-taught my whole life. And then one of the years I was doing this, like 5-6 years ago, I'm like, I want to actually get better. And that was the year I committed to just like hiring like golf lessons, just to like work on that. So it could be improving it. It could be just about having the playtime set aside. And how many of you had, goals like that? I want to play the piano, I want to play this, I want to learn, Spanish or something, that you've been saying that every year for decades. I for sure got some of those. Will you hit it again, Bradley? All right. Fun goal. What is your fun goal for 2025? Write one down in your box. What is it? Could be traveling, could be a hobby, could be an activity. Maybe you want to learn to fight like Marcus. Are your ribs broken?
Yeah, fight better than me. I'm getting broken ribs, right?
Oh, no.
But at least your face looks good.
Yeah.
Thank you. Coming from a model. Very kind of you.
It's like make me want to change careers.
Never give up on your dream, Dustin.
Only modeling. Bodily journey.
All right, your fun goal. And then what are the activities, the habits that will help you accomplish that?
Work.
True, yeah. And you can clearly see how these overlap each other, sometimes, all right, you could nail a relationship goal 1 month with your fun goal, you could, some of these definitely overlap. A lot of my goals around money have to simply be to fund all these other areas of life, right? I just make my budget and then I reverse engineer in that is my income goal. Okay, habits, and then maybe even someone that can hold you accountable to it. Who's got a fun goal that maybe you're not already nailing, but you wrote that down on your paper? You're committing to Disney cruise. Cool. And once you accomplish it, then boom, just bump down to the next one that you had in your mind. Anybody else?
to get back on stage acting.
Sweet. Good for you. So what are some of the habits associated with helping you come to that?
Finding auditions, talking to different people at theaters to see which shows are coming up.
Cool, sweet, good for you. Awesome, all right, career. 1 to 10, how happy are you right now with your career? You wake up fired on Monday morning,
Fired or fired up?
fired up. Or do you hate Sunday nights because you know you're gonna be rolling into Monday the next day? I just say the level of your passion for your career, it can be based on the relationship you have with your alarm clock. First half results, how you doing? The first half of your goals around your career or business? Are you on pace for your goal? And then what are the daily activities, 1 to 10? Okay. So how do we get stuck in the middle of life? On the right side here is just massive success. On the left side, complete failure. Most people in life sit right there in the middle, average. To get to the middle of life at anything, all you have to do is what you like to do. If you want to get to the right side of average at anything that really matters to you, you must move past what you want to do and do some things that you don't want to do. In other words, the measure of your success in life is in direct proportion to what you're willing to do when you don't want to do it. One of my best friends, I got him into real estate 5 years ago and he crushed it and he just started burning out and he just refused to lead generate. He just got sick of it. He didn't want to work that hard. And here we are 5 years later and he's just in a totally different profession, working twice as hard than he was willing to do in real estate. I'm like, if you would even worked a fraction of that, you'd be making triple. It's because he got in a little bit of a habit of just doing only what he liked to do versus what he had to do, right? Another way to think about above average results, at each level of success, if you don't put forth a new level of renewed above average effort, you define your ceiling and begin a life of average, albeit more successful than others. For you, it's average. So every stitch of life, you actually bump up and then you have to restart over that process of evaluating, doing what you like to do or what you need to do, right? And it's interesting to see a lot of our people in our organization that totally climb out of just like one way of living and they reach a whole nother level of success, lifestyle, like life by design. And then some people just kind of get stuck there. And that's okay too, you know, but a lot of times you've got to go do a lot of that digging deep, you know, to just even take you up to that next level, right? All right, career. I know you dig deeper on your goals numerically, but what was your career goal this year? What was your career goal? What was your one theme? What was your one thing that you wanted to accomplish in your career business life this year? And again, try to stay away from money. Try to stay away from GCI or income or whatever. Like, what is a career goal that's not attached to the wealth area of life? When AI and robots do everything, they say the biggest risk of society is people lose their purpose because so many people's purpose is attached to the money that they make. Gary has a long story about, you know, talking to someone, one of his, I think it was his father, about he always thought Gary worked for money. He always thought Gary worked for money. And I'll tell you, Gary does not work for money. The dude has plenty of money and he could have quit 30 years ago. But for some reason, that dude just keeps showing up at KWRI because he loves it. He loves doing what he does. You know, there's definitely times that he's got sucked into doing things that he didn't want to do, but he tried to figure out a path to get that back off his plate and get back into his sweet spot. Even us having that private equity company come in and buy a chunk of the company, I think was a lot just of helping Gary personally get back to what he wants to do, you know, and it's not being the CEO of the company. Like he really does not like to do that type of stuff. Okay, career, and then what are the habits associated with that? I've had themes before of like building out a leadership bench or leverage. It could be getting really good at something. You know, when I was selling real estate, I wanted to be the best listing presenter in the office. Like I had that goal for a long time. So I just really focused on script practice. So what is a great career goal? Anybody want to share theirs? 2025, throw it out to the universe. What's your career goal?
to run an efficient, happy team.
This is more, sorry, this is more in the context of office, but I think it applies individually to everybody. But you've got to stay real about where you are, what's happening in your career. And so I think that one of my goals has been just that self-reflection and then that high level of accountability, always resurfacing what our goals are, what our objectives are, and being willing to be truthful about that and make the adjustments, the modifications as needed to meet the goals. So
Yeah.
I think, you know, from a process perspective or a discipline perspective, it's that constant review of where you are.
Yeah. Yeah, mine this year, just to share with you, we're all in on AI. Like each one of my businesses, I might have a slightly different goal. But like Red Sign Team, we want to be the most AI integrated team on the planet. And I put my money where my mouth is. We hired a guy full time. We pay him $8,000 a month, and all day, every day, all he's doing is integrating more and more AI. He's building crap that I don't even know what he's building right now. Even KW Westfield that I own, you know, same thing. We want by the end of the year to just have you know, full operations run by AI on that. All right, wealth. Overall happiness right now in the wealth area of life. 1 to 10. How happy are you? Wealth area of life, how happy are you? The first half results. How do you feel about the first half this year results? Are you on pace for your goal 1 to 10? And then daily activities. Daily activities. How are you doing on your daily activities? And add them up, average them out. I've been up here a few times teaching wealth. Again, probably the most important principle that I try to instill in anybody is just paying yourself first, or just when you make $1, it's not $1, and 10, 15, 30 cents on the dollar is moving over to the investment world. On the far right, the average consumer's budget. They have income taxes, required spending, and discretionary spending. Investor's budget, that's what the investor's budget looks like. This is right out of the MREI book, the blue one. But a millionaire investor's budget, they just really have the discipline and diligence to just carve off at the top profit, or just, you know, a percent of their income. And let that snowball and get to whatever critical mass is, that like now the money that critical mass kicks off, you're done working for money. Again, real estate. Here's another condo I was looking at buying the other day. One of the hardest things on investing in real estate, I love real estate investing, is cash flow, right? Rates are high and it's really hard to pencil the numbers. I ran this, I don't want to share some numbers, but this is just a condo down in Vineyard, $350,000 purchase price. I'd have to put a down payment of $70,000, loan amount. My commission would cover my closing costs, interest rate 7.25, interest rate when I ran this a week or so ago. P&I payment 1910, property taxes, HOA fee, property management, maintenance reserve. So that's how the economics worked out on this. Here's how it went through my cash flow, my 4 quadrants. So that's the thing up there. I would actually lose $764 a month. Yearly would be $9,000, which from my down payment of $70,000, it would be a negative 13% ROI. Okay. Here on the top right, I still think 4% is conservative. It's just crazy what the economy is doing, and we still are consistently going 4%. And I do think that's the projections are anywhere from 3.5 to 5.5 appreciation in 2025. We're kind of already seeing it. I know inventory is going up. But even 4% appreciation, now value, 1 year value appreciation equity, it'd be a 20% ROI buying this condo right now in this market. Principal payment, interest over a year. That's the first year amortization. So only $2,700 going to principal. Interest is $20,000, even though you can put the interest as a deduction. I'm only paying my loan down $2,700 year 1. Clearly, the way amortization works, every year it gets better and better and better as long as you go refinance, unless rates really drop. You wanted to do that. Divided by 70,000, 3.9% ROI, just by a renter paying your payment that then pays your debt down. This is just straight line depreciation. So your interest, your depreciation, your cash flow loss ends up being about a $42,000 paper loss, even though it was negative cash flow. Adding that depreciation in and the interest, cash flow loss, $42,000. State and federal tax brackets, times them by that, $12,148 is what I would save on paying taxes by offsetting some of the real estate commission I make. So those same numbers, 17.4% ROI of my $70,000 down payment. You add those together, even in the current market with how awful rates are that we're seeing, is a 28% ROI. Okay. So again, real estate, no matter how I look at it, in whatever market that I look at it in, because of those four main benefits, it is still solid, right? And the other one too is when you get a 30-year fixed rate mortgage, you're locking in today's dollars, right? Because that payment never changes. What are we fearful of right now with tariffs? That it's going to make things go up inflation again. So your dollar is going to be able to buy less goods, but again, your payment stays the same. So even that's the fifth benefit of owning real estate. So that's not even factored in. But that could be another 10, 15% over the next couple of years. So again, wealth, real estate. So let's just assume you went out and bought a rental property every year. So $70,000, it will go up 4% just to keep going up with the real estate prices to be a down payment on it. We just buy one property a year. We do the same rate. Every time I run that, this is probably one of the worst ROIs collectively I've run because how high rates are and cash flow prices. But even if it was only 28.2% growth, not 40% or 50% that I've got from a bunch of other rentals, let's just say you do it for 30 years. 30 years, about one rental property a year, right there, time value of money, $497 million. Crazy. Which is Rusty's net worth right now.
So close.
So
It's just a little work harder. I'll get.
Where is this calculator?
that was just one on the internet. I've downloaded a few just on my phone. Like, I don't know how to do most things on a scientific calculator. The one thing I know how to do is just time value money. What's the term? What's the rate of growth, interest rate? What's the money I'm putting in, into the vehicle? And you might even have a present value if you started with the trust fund, right? All right, wealth area of life. What is your goal for 2025? 2025. Wealth area of life goal. It's the one thing that if you accomplish by the end of the year in your wealth area of life, that would be awesome. And then what are the habits associated with it? 1, 2, 3 habits. And then who's someone that can hold you accountable to that? And someone share. It's your one big rock wealth area of life, your one thing goal.
On buying that rental property this year.
Yep. That's why I did that, because I just felt like I have paused my brain around that, And I'm like, even in this market that we are, crazy about, 28.2% in a real life condo. Okay. Anybody else want to share? Wealth area of life goals. Okay. Last one, impact. Your impact area of life. This is now unattached to money, unattached to all things. You're just going out and making the dent on the planet. Okay. This is where maybe the service thing can come in. This could be coaching, whatever. Overall happiness, 1 to 10. Happy are you right now on the impact that you're making in the world? This is your real selfless category. First half results around this. Are you on pace for a goal? And then your daily activities, 1 to 10. We'll add them up, divide by 4, and give you an average number on that. I always like to say this. This is one thing that I think it's Jay Papasan did once on stage a long time ago, but he talked about the 5 types of giving, or even potentially the 5 stages of giving. Often people just gravitate to money, like, oh, I've got to give money out there to make an impact. But the first one is just give your gratitude. Probably hear those stories all the time of just demonstrating gratitude and just can totally change, someone's road that they're on. But give your gratitude, give your time, give your money, give your leadership, and then even give your wealth. I have made goals in these, like even just giving, a certain percent, 10% of money. But I actually start doing that with time. I start tracking, am I spending 10% of my time truly selflessly, unattached to anything that I want? I'm just going out there and trying to help 10% of my time. So if you have an average work week or whatever of, 2,000 hours in a year, all right, how do I spend 200 hours a year, 15, 20 hours a month, just truly, in giving my time? Leadership, I'll tell you, oftentimes it's not necessarily money that a lot of these charitable organizations need, it's leadership. And I'll tell you, our entrepreneurship, our ability to run businesses, here in Keller Williams, our agents. When you guys are ready and want to go spend some time giving your leadership into some of these organizations, you're going to make way bigger dent and impact than you would just giving all your money to them. So think about that. And then even give your wealth, Okay. All right, last one. I want you to write down your impact goal. 2025, what is your big one thing rock goal in the impact area of life? And then what are 1, 2, 3 habits that help accomplish that impact goal? And then maybe in that white box, who's someone that can hold you accountable to help you make a bigger impact? One of the years I wanted to go to lunch with like 3 or 4 CEOs of major charitable organizations in Utah, and I think I ended up doing 3. Just to understand how they operate and what their day looks like, kind of where their passion comes from, that type of stuff. Just to get my mind down the road of what leadership or giving your time might look like at a higher level. So maybe it's just even spending time on digging a little deeper of connecting with a passion. Everybody lives different lives. Everybody views life from a different perspective. Sometimes even just recalling major events in your life help you remember where you have the biggest desire to make an impact. One of mine's single moms. I grew up with a single mom. I tell this story a lot. My mom was fantastic, but she just had kids so early. She never really got a college education. So we just grew up super poor because she had 2 little kids and she just kind of bounced around just very low income jobs, and she did everything good. I never really knew how poor we were growing up. But when I just see single moms out there that are struggling, I'm like, man, just a little bit of help could just mean the world to some of these people, Cool. Okay, anybody want to share one? Impact 2025, area of life.
One quick comment. I think a lot of times we talk about thinking big in our organization, which I love that concept. Like, I think all of us need to think bigger. However, sometimes in some of these areas, I think if you feel behind, sometimes thinking big will actually slow you down. For example, like impact. If all of a sudden I'm like, well, I want to get involved, I better go build an orphanage in South America. Sometimes it's so big that it keeps me from doing anything. I really do believe the success is sequential. So like with impact, one of the goals I made this year is I've started making sourdough bread. So every week I make 2 loaves of bread, one for my family. And then I think of in my life, like who could I give this to and tell them thank you? So I give 1 loaf away and it's very small and it's gone that day. They normally eat it that day. I give it to them but it's more for me, the process of going through it and like pulling me back to gratitude. But it just is like a small thing. So on any of these ones, if you feel behind, don't necessarily think you have to build this massive goal around it. Think of something small that you can start doing now and you'll find yourself finding more opportunities to grow in that area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the goals I had one year was just, I wanted to find something meaningful for 5 people a month. It could be a book that I thought would mean something to them. Could be, buy them a ticket to something or whatever. But it was very easy for me to do. I just had like an hour in my calendar once a month that I would just think about certain 5 people I was going to deepen the relationship with, and I would buy something or do something or whatever. Another one it's cool to see is even just the inner office stuff that shows up on these impact forms. Even just mentoring like a couple new agents, just go mentor, grab 2 of them, just say, hey, I'm going to be your accountability partner for the next 90 days. Even that, I can't imagine where I would be in life if I didn't have a few people put their arm around me very early on in Keller Williams. So as part of it is just, now it's your turn, right? All right, so again, I gave you this assessment. I would challenge you, even if you don't do it monthly, do it quarterly, but I do this every single month. The last, usually Sunday, I have an hour, 2 hours that morning before the next month. I go through the same process. I do the self-evaluation, the assessment. I edit my year goals and my habits. Like if I'm way off, like who in here of the 7 areas of life, who has all of them above 7? No? So what are some of your worst area of lives on the rating?
Impact.
Impact?
Health.
Health? couple more. So you might want to prioritize those two the next quarter or the next month or something. And then again, the rubber meets the road. A lot of times people are great at getting their one thing dialed in, but then if you're not revisiting those goals on a monthly basis, there's so often I'll get to this mid-year retreat with people that spent that full day retreat with me, and they actually forgot what their soul life goal was or their relationship goals, just because they were not paying attention or they were not doing the editing process on a monthly basis. But that's why I gave you that doc too. So again, you repeat, there's science in rewriting your goal down several times. That's why I rewrite my goal down, my year goal, month goal to the right. Like, what is just one thing that I can really like move that goal forward? And then you can do little rocks just on your week or lifetime. Okay. All right. If you've got your one sheeter all the way full, hold it up. Yeah. Cool. So look at that sheet. You've got what, 6.5 months? Look at that sheet. If you accomplished all of those one thing goals on that sheet, how awesome would your 2025 be? Pretty amazing. Cool. We'll do it. All right. Comments, questions? How was this for you? Was this as good for you as it was for me? I did most talking, so.
This was awesome, Jonny. Thank you.
Yeah, any ahas? You want to share? Good?
I think I'm really good at the first year of like setting all the goals and coming together with it. And then I think that unfortunately, it's crappy as it is, like career and business get in the way of a lot of the other stuff.
Yeah.
You lose track of it. So I'm like, I love the monthly assessment.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think my aha was, part that you said about just picking one thing and mastering that thing. Because I already do that in my life with like hobbies in particular. Like I'm really good at like picking hobbies, mastering them, and then I kind of just get rid of them almost. But when it comes to my career, like my life or goals or whatever, I'm really, really good at thinking about every little thing that I can be doing or how I can improve this area and that area of my life. And I do get spread thin because I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this. But I think instead of that, I wrote down here that I need to learn what my direction is and then just go at that one thing.
Yeah.
Because yeah, I do spread myself.
Yeah, I've done this enough that if you saw my, like each area of life, I've basically developed this giant bucket list of all these things I want to do in the health or the soul or whatever. So it makes this process a little faster, but I kind of just go through that list. Am I missing any that have kind of came up this last year? Or any like the running the full marathon? I lost all desire to do that, so I crossed it off. But those I just kind of go through. And once you check one off, like the Disney cruise, that happens every time someone says, I want to travel somewhere. Perfect, great. That's your one thing. As soon as you do it, then just go back to your bucket list and then move the next one up. And just be very deliberate on that. So sequential mastery, just like you said. Yeah. Justin, did you have one you were gonna say?
I just need to give some attention to some of these different areas that aren't normally on my radar.
Yeah.
Because that's my like your like impact on like besides my son, I'm like probably should give a little bit more to Randy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And sometimes I'll nail these for a few years and then it can somehow transition to be my weakest area of life, and it kind of is always this ebb and flow. But one of the things I've learned too through this process, being so dialed in, that you have to also just give yourself grace on the handful of areas or the one or two that just like are, and be okay, because now you're prioritizing your time and energy to just get these other ones up a little bit.
Okay.
So
I think it's interesting to see how much you actually dedicate to one of the 7 areas and how neglectful you are on some of the others.
was because it becomes easier,
Mhm.
especially young whippersnappers that are in awesome shape, I'm like, we could get 40, buddy.
we just want to stay on the bike, like upright on the bike.
And your goals change. So like even me, like my fitness goal one year, because I had to have shoulder surgery. Shoulder surgery sucks. The recovery is like 6 months, you can't do anything. And I was panicking that it was going to just blow my health goals out of the water. So I kind of reformatted it and it became just, I got to stay under my calories and I got to hit my 10,000 steps a day. And like, even just, manipulating those to do that, like I still ended up accomplishing and actually lowering my body fat during that recovery process than had I not, so. Cool. All right. Give me 2 claps and an for your 2025 that you're going to crush. Okay. On 3. 1, 2, 3. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Jonny. We're so lucky to have him in our region, right? You guys, that's awesome. Our lunch sponsor is Walker with Done Right Roofing. Hey, how are you?
Doing awesome.
Good, come on down.
I don't know if you were gonna say anything else, but it's, the food's been sitting there for a little bit and I'm the one thing holding you guys before that, so I'll be really fast. I used to work at a call center right when I was in high school, and they'd always have these sponsors come in to get us to call their leads. And I would always tune out, so if you guys tune out for a little bit, it's just karma coming back to me, and that's okay. I'm a roofer. I am, just a little bit about me, I'm from Arizona and have grown up around construction my whole life. My business partner his name's Jack Wall. He's best friend for forever. His 7 older brothers that all own construction businesses, and so that's kind of been every job I've had has been like that. And I'm a roofer in Utah, and I, opposed to some other roofers, love working with real estate agents. You guys are like seriously my ideal client. Like a lot of my business is through real estate agents. And so the reason I bring that up is because I asked ChatGPT before this, as many of you do, I hope. I said, what is the realtor's #1 problem with getting deal closed in Utah? Any guesses what you guys?
Okay,
What's up?
okay.
Repair, yeah, it said, realtors facing, issues that arise after the homeowner's inspection. Is that fair, do you think? Does that happen quite often? And I asked what gets flagged the most in homeowners inspection, most often in Utah. And, I'm sure it varies, but ChatGPT told me roofing, so I have to be the most valuable person that you guys have talked to in a while. So, the reason why I love, actually, first of all, the reason why I've had a lot of, I don't want to say a lot of success, but some success with real estate agents is because roofers, I don't know what your experience have, and I hope you guys have great roofers who really take care of you, who do an awesome job. But a lot of times, what I hear is, especially the small stuff after an inspection to get repaired, and you guys are trying to make magic happen, getting stuff done really, really fast. You have to make deadlines, and you're working with a seller and a buyer. And sometimes a roof can just, even if it's like a mini little repair, the buyer sees that and it blows up the deal. Like they get so scared of the roof. And in the industry, they're called yellow jobs, really like one-off jobs that are like, got to repair 3 shingles, or we need to, get the fascia board in, or fix 10 feet of gutters. That a roofer and contractors are just most of the time just going to wait. Like, if they're waiting 2 weeks to get back to you for a full re-roof, most of the time for those little ones, they're not getting back to you on. What my pitch to you guys is, what I would say is, I always answer my phone, and we are so fast at getting to our jobs. We guarantee pretty much the same day. And obviously, if you call me at 4 p.m. or 5 p.m., it can be a little harder to make the rounds, but we get to our jobs the same day as fast as we can and give you free estimates. And so we've gone back and forth. I've done, paid, trip fees in the past. And the biggest thing that I want to invest in is relationships. And if I'm charging you guys for me to go out and look at a roof before an inspection or anything like that, then like any question you have, you think I'm billing you for your time, and I don't want any of that. And so anytime you call me, I'm really happy to go out and do anything really fast. Most of our clients are investors. I don't really do a lot of digital marketing. It's a lot of flippers, a lot of agents, some management companies. And so we pretty much every customer I have to really beat on price. And so we have really good pricing. Obviously anyone can say that, but try us out. One of the reasons I love working with realtors is because even if I'm giving a good deal sometimes to a homeowner, they can still think they're getting screwed because they're buying a roof once every 20 years. It's not like you guys are buying roofs all the time, but you're familiar with the cost of the roof, and a good cost of a roof when you see one. And so another thing, the reason why I love working with you guys is a lot of times when it comes to roofs, people wait like 6 months to get it done. With a real estate transaction, you're wanting to get it done really fast, and that's great for us to just not have to wait for 6 months to get something done, but to get it done really fast. I also, just wanted to say too, that, I think I mentioned it before, but I am in the relationship business, and so if you guys ever even have like a question about a roof, a lot of realtors will call me before the inspection happens to go and say, hey, we're not sure about this roof. We don't want it to get flagged for the inspection. Can you go and look at it for us and let us know what we can expect? I'm super happy to do that for you guys. And so if it ever comes where you're worried about something, just call me, and super happy to be a contact, be in a resource just to make the process smoother, and all of that. But I want to let you guys get to your lunch. That's pretty much all I prepared. I just wanted you guys to know that I'll always answer my phone when you call, and we're really, really fast, and we'll get stuff done really, really good. And yeah, anyways, do you guys have any questions for me? You're probably not, because you're really hungry. You want to go eat food.
Are you gonna hang out here for a minute?
I'll hang out here for a minute, so I'll let you talk to you guys. Yeah,
You.
that'd be awesome. So, yeah, anyways, I appreciate it. And I'll hand out cards. I don't know what the best way to do that, but okay, awesome.
Okay, awesome.
Awesome.
Thank you. Hey, here's my challenge to you. Don't take your papers and go shove them in a drawer and never look at them again. Schedule it in your calendar. And then live by your calendar. Okay, thanks, guys. Thanks, Jonny. I'm already getting requests.
Let's just have your real,
Business planning. A 2-day and you can do. Work on it. Faithful, calendars, not on
University.
Yeah.
If you guys are used to it, maybe one too, yeah.
I'll start thinking of ideas. People, I have a client that is a police contract, which she ends up doing a lot.
Well,
Elementary.